because this weekend I'm going to
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to This Takes the Cake. I'm Nina from New York City, and joining me today is Lacey, the Executive Director of Wish Upon a Wedding. Lacey, for our listeners who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and a little bit about Wish Upon a Wedding?
Absolutely. Hi, Nina. Thanks for having me today. Yes, my name's Lacey. I'm the executive director of Wish Upon a Wedding. We are a national nonprofit that grants weddings and vow renewals to couples who are facing terminal illnesses. We were founded in 2010, and we just granted wish number 289.
That's insane. That's
Yes.
so amazing. So, where did the Wish Upon a Wedding, how did it develop? Where did it come from? What's the history of how it all got started?
So 14 years ago, there was a wedding planner in Northern California. Her name is Liz Guthrie, and she decided that it would be fun to give away a free wedding. And she kind of got a bunch of vendors together and she said, I've got this really great idea. Let's put an application out there. Let's see who applies and let's just pick someone from the bunch and let's give away a free wedding. Well, she ended up having a couple apply that one person was ill. And so and the other person was a member of the military. And so they just felt like we
Mhm.
have to choose this couple. And so they all came together, everyone donated, they pulled off this incredible wedding for this couple. And the idea just blossomed from there. And she formed the organization and she thought, we can do this all over the country. And so here we are 14 years later. We've been through so many different iterations, but we've met incredible couples along the way. And we've been able to provide a lot of joy and hope to people in the midst of a really dark time.
It's such an amazing organization, and the joy that people have to be able to be part of this is, unreal. So, can you tell me a little bit about the process for applicants? So, if someone is in a relationship and they're looking to get married, but one of them has a terminal illness, what do they do? How do they apply to be part of Wish Upon a Wedding?
Yes, absolutely. So people would apply through our website. I would say most people hear about us through, maybe a cancer support group on Facebook or a nurse navigator or a hospice nurse or a doctor. So they apply through our website and then we review applications every single day. And then if they match our initial criteria, we reach out to them and we do an interview. We get to know them and figure out kind of who they are and where they're coming through, what they've been through with their illness. And then we verify their diagnosis and prognosis with their doctor. We background check them. And then once kind of all of those boxes are checked, we approve their wish and we find a wedding planner wherever they're located in the country. We bring that person on board pro bono and we work with that person to assemble a wish granting team.
It's an incredible experience, even from the planner's perspective. I had the most amazing opportunity to plan a wedding for Wish Upon a Wedding this past weekend, actually. And it was just, I'm still on a high from how incredible it was to be part of something so amazing and being able to give back to two incredible people who, one's going through a terminal illness, but the partner's going through supporting the terminal illness. And it's awesome to be able to give back to both of them in this great way. What are any location limits? Are there any limits on where these couples are, or what we're able to provide to these couples?
We only grant wishes within the United States, so we are limited to just the United States. But outside of that, no. I mean, we've done wishes in every tiny little town across America that you can name. If it is a really remote location, we'll try to find something a little bit near a big city, potentially where they're
Right.
being treated for their illness or whatnot. But there are not a lot of limitations as far as location goes.
Are there any states we haven't done them in?
Yes, there are definitely states we've not granted a wish in Hawaii. Ah.
I'll plan
I
it.
know. Calling all people of Hawaii. But I mean, we've done lots of wishes in Michigan and Tennessee and Illinois and Ohio and Florida and New York and New Jersey and Pennsylvania and Texas and Atlanta. And I mean, just so many over the years.
It's so great. And I have been telling our stunning and brilliant team about, my experience with Wish Upon a Wedding. And I think we might have a few other planners within our team that are going to reach out to Megan to try to help.
Yeah,
So
I
it's
love
really,
that.
really exciting.
I love
Um,
that.
so what about vendors? When once someone signs on as a planner, are vendors able to donate their time? What does that process look like? And is there anything that vendors can do separately from a specific wedding to support Wish Upon a Wedding?
Yes. So once we're in kind of the planning process with the couple, the planner who we bring on board, they have the opportunity to source their vendor team. We want the planner to show up to a day that they feel comfortable with the team that's there. You know, people that
Hmm.
they've worked with over the years and that they trust and they know and they can rely on. And then for the most part, vendors donate their services, and their time, and their resources. We as an organization do allocate a small monetary contribution to each wish. But outside of that, people are so incredibly generous. And what our wish granters over the years, thousands and thousands and thousands of vendors have showed up to just shower our couples with so many blessings. I am continually blown away with the creativity, the generosity of these wish granters. They go above and beyond to just give of themselves to someone that they've never met before, quite frankly. You know,
Hmm.
often the caterer is showing up to a day they've never met that couple, and they're providing just this unbelievable gift to them that this couple could not afford, obviously, and does not have the bandwidth to source. Um, so, you know, that's one way that a vendor can support us. Another way, a vendor could do a fundraiser for us, or they could do a campaign for us, or
Hmm.
they could, you know, just spread the word about us to other people. So
Right.
there's lots of ways to get involved.
That's incredible. And we were so lucky that we had such a great vendor team at our Wish wedding. And it was just, it was amazing. So, talk to me a little bit about wedding professionals in general. I know you mentioned that um, different vendors and professionals can do fundraisers. Are there certain what goes into a fundraiser for Wish Upon a Wedding?
I mean, the sky's the limit. So, you know, we've done fundraisers with people before where they've said, you know, we're going to give a portion of every wedding that we book this year to Wish Upon a Wedding, or we're going to host a cocktail party. We just got done with this incredible fundraiser in Kansas City that I went to last week.
Mhm.
A planning team in Kansas City um, hosted a benefit for us, and it it was absolutely over the top gorgeous. It was like a fairy garden theme, and everyone, you know, had
Oh,
butterfly
that's
wings and whatnot.
amazing.
Yeah, and so they did an amazing auction. They did a live auction and a silent auction, and they were really able to showcase their talent as wedding planners. It was over the top gorgeous. You know, so that on a very large scale is something that a planner could do. But also, you know, we have a planner right now out of Miami that it's her 10th year in her wedding planning business. And so
Mhm.
she's trying to raise $10,000 for us
Oh,
just
that's awesome.
through clients. Another great way that planners could help, or vendors could help, is by suggesting to their clients to add us to their registry. You know, lots of people are getting married later in life, and maybe they don't need sheets and towels and dishes
Mhm.
and whatnot, and so they can put us on their registry to pay it forward to another couple in need that really needs a wedding.
I love that. That's so special, especially when you are getting married, to be able to give that experience to a couple that may not be able to have that experience. It's so special to be able to be part of that. I'm
Yes.
assuming that for non-wedding professionals, it's kind of the same thing where anyone can really do any sort of fundraiser to support Wish Upon a Wedding.
Yes. Yep. You
Donating a certain portion of an event, or like a bike-a-thon, or like any kind of anything.
Yeah, or just become a monthly contributor through our website. We have a
Mhm.
donation button on our website where people can give. Yes, anyone can host a fundraiser for us. Absolutely. We would welcome that.
That's perfect. So it was so exciting for me to be able to plan a wedding for Wish Upon a Wedding. I have a huge, huge heart for nonprofit and giving back, and this experience was um, unreal for me. So I'm just going to share a little about how I got involved with Wish Upon a Wedding. I actually saw a Facebook post looking for a planner in the Southern Connecticut area. And I grew up in Connecticut and I only live 25 minutes from Connecticut. So I'm pretty close to Connecticut, and being able to respond to this post was amazing. I'm pretty sure I was standing on the street in Washington, D.C. with my husband. We were there for a wedding and we were just like exploring DC when I saw this. And I was like, Ben, I think this is something I need to do. I think I need to get involved. And so I commented on it right away, or I think I emailed Megan directly. I think her email was on there. And we hopped on a quick call and she kind of gave me all the details. And she told me a little bit about Oscar and Lily. And I actually have done a lot of work in the area where Oscar has his diagnosis. So I am very familiar with his diagnosis, and it was so special to me that, it didn't catch me off guard. It didn't put me in a position where I was like, whoa, I don't know if I'm going to be able to deal with that. That sounds serious. I knew how serious it was, and I knew I could put it to the side to be able to focus on him as a groom versus him fighting a terminal illness. So I signed on board right away. And then I had my first call with Oscar and Lily. And I think we ended up talking for like almost 2 hours because we were just like, it was great conversation. I got to learn all about them, and they have known each other since middle school. So that was so special. They haven't dated since middle school, but they've known each other since middle school. And some of my like closest best friends are my friends from preschool. So I know how awesome it is to have someone in your life that has known you through all the different phases of life. So that was so special. And then we just were like chatting as friends. And I knew it was going to be like the most incredible wedding planning experience. And, Oscar had a bit of a hard time. He would get overwhelmed easily, and it's a lot for him. So I mainly communicated with Lily, and we only had like 9 weeks, I think it was, to plan the wedding, to find a venue, to find everything. And their dream was a castle wedding. And I tried so hard to get them a castle, but it's so hard with venues, right? That venues, when they
Well,
have in-house
there aren't a lot of
catering.
castles around.
I know, it's true. There's quite a few in the Connecticut area, and like right in over in the New York on the New York border. And we do have that restriction of like about an hour of where the couple lives. So we were a little bit restricted with where we could go, but we ended up finding a venue that was actually a science center and planetarium, which is very different than a castle. But the outside of the venue had a like not it was one of those areas where you can do like zip lining and tightrope walking and like all those cool it's like an adventure park outside. So there's tons of trees with fairy lights and
Oh, neat.
a beautiful bridge that is like surrounded by trees. So they got the like ethereal look from the outside. And then Oscar loves space. So they got to get married inside of the planetarium, where we had like
Wow.
stars above them as they got married. And then right after the ceremony, they got to enjoy a planetarium show with all their guests. And then we got to party. So it was
Wow.
so cool. It was so, so cool. I will say some of the challenges were venue. Number one, it was so hard to find a venue that wanted to donate, because so many venues like have in-house catering. So not only are they donating the venue, but they're donating the catering too. And that was really hard. And then for some reason, rentals were really, really hard. And Megan and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, that it's becoming harder and harder to find rentals. Have you seen that throughout like other planners and in different locations?
Yeah, that does seem to be an interesting theme recently, and it hasn't been in the past. I would have always said in the past that the toughest ones to get donated are florals or catering, right? Hard costs.
Mhm.
Um, Rentals have been tough, which is surprising to me because rental companies own their own rentals.
I know.
I so that one is always a little bit baffling to me, but um clearly you did such an incredible job. It's a tough task to ask a planner to source all of these things, and clearly it speaks to your relationships in your community, which is amazing.
Mhm. Yeah, it was so amazing because we actually brought on board a lot of vendors that I had never worked with before. And, you know, one of the things that Megan recommended was, posting in the like local Facebook groups to see who would want to donate and who would be part of things and like say what I'm looking for. And I got so many people that had connections to Oscar's diagnosis. It's funny that you say florals is hard because florals was the first thing that I had before we even had a date.
I love that.
So, but it's because our florist had a connection to someone who was fighting the same disease that Oscar has.
Mm.
Our We got someone to preserve Oscar's boutonniere and Lily's bouquet. And so now
Yeah.
Lily will be able to have it forever. And
Mm.
she also had a connection to Oscar's diagnosis. So, as awful as it was so wonderful to be able to bring in people in the community who either knew someone that faced the same illness or, you know, just wanted to be able to help. So I thought that
Yeah.
was really great. But I do want to give a shout out to Peak Event Services because they were able to bring in the rentals for us, and I used them at my own wedding, so I knew how great they were, and they came in for the win, even though we had to pay a little for delivery. But that's what that little budget
Yeah,
that we get is for.
absolutely. Oh, that's great. I love that.
Yeah, and we because I posted on Facebook, we were able to get some like really interesting small touches. We had someone from Night Owl Woodworks reach out, and he does all sorts of woodworking. He's incredible, and he made a card box and like a heart-shaped
Oh,
guest book where you everyone signs little hearts and then puts them inside this glass enclosed like frame kind of thing.
oh,
And
what a neat
so,
memory for them.
yeah, exactly. They get this forever. And the card
Mm,
box has their names on it and everything has their names on it. And it was so cool. And that's just because he saw me on Facebook. So
I
it
love
was so
that.
nice to have those little touches. We brought in some cotton candy. I had a friend who came and like spun some cotton candy for us because cotton candy is one of Oscar's favorite things. So we got to surprise him with some cotton candy. I will say it was definitely a challenge and the machine wasn't working to its best ability, but we actually had to return it after.
Oh
But
my
we
goodness.
were able to get enough to give Oscar and Lily cotton candy, and they were both happy. So
Oh, I love that.
that was wonderful. Um, but yeah, have you had any moments that you would say this takes the cake on for through Wish Upon a Wedding, whether it's a positive or something crazy that happened?
I mean, I've been a part of so many of our wishes. I think like almost 150 over the years. I've been with this
Wow.
organization for 6 years. One that that kind of stands out just in my recent memory was our
Mhm.
last wish of the year last year. Was our goal last year was to do 38 wishes.
Mhm.
Our goal this year is to do 50. So last year, the last wish of the year, legitimately 30, number 38, days before Christmas.
Oh my
Um,
goodness.
this couple had applied in the fall and
Mhm.
they wanted to renew their vows after 30 years. We do a lot of weddings, but we also do a lot of vow renewals, which I think
That's so
are
wonderful.
so incredibly special because in many cases, the couple got married very young. Maybe they got married in a courthouse. They couldn't afford a regular wedding. They didn't get to have all the things that people
Mhm.
normally have when they're a little bit older, and then they've gone all these years and they've had children and they've had moves and family and all that kind of stuff. and then one of them gets ill and they just want to stand up and say, we're still here, we're still kicking. So this couple, Dan and Liesel, they had met in college and in Michigan, where I'm from. I live in Columbus, Ohio, but they went to college in Michigan, and I was
Mhm.
familiar with kind of where they had grown up. And he had this idea to propose to her on this weekend getaway with all of their friends over New Year's Eve. And it was a blizzard. He kept
Oh,
trying to get her to go for a walk, and he like wanted to take her on a walk, and she didn't want to go on a walk because it was a blizzard. He was trying to lure her away, and he finally got her to convince her to go on a walk, and they went down on this beach in Michigan, on Lake Michigan, and
no.
they stood on this pier, and he asked her to marry her, and they got married, and they were married for 30 years, and they had 3 beautiful children. And
Mhm.
this past year he was diagnosed with ALS, which
Oh,
is
wow.
just a horrific degenerative neuro disease. And I knew that it was progressing pretty quickly. After interviewing them, I knew this is something we would have to move on right away. And he wanted to renew their vows standing on that same beach that he had proposed to her on. And I
Oh, that's
said,
so
I'm going to
special.
be home visiting my family. It's about an hour from where I live. Let's make this happen. And so it was days before Christmas. I was able to assemble, like 5 or 6 wish granters. I met them at the beach location. She wore her
Mhm.
original wedding dress from the 90s that she had preserved. Um, and,
Props to
we
her
got
for
her
still fitting in it.
right. And they got her just a beautiful bouquet, a beautiful boutonniere, an incredible cake. She got to have her hair and makeup done. They came to their home that morning and did their hair and makeup. So, I mean, he needed a walker and a breathing machine and a bunch of family
Mhm.
members, but we were able to get him down this boardwalk onto this beach. It was just maybe like 12 people. They're very just immediate family.
Mhm.
His dad, who's in his 80s, did the officiating, and
Wow.
we all stood around in a semicircle and watched them renew their vows on this deserted, breathtaking, beautiful beach. I mean, it was cold, but it was crisp and gorgeous. And it was so special. And the words that they said to each other about, I feel like I'm getting choked up right now, just what
Mhm.
they had been through for the past 30 years, and knowing what this journey looks like for them coming up, quite frankly. Um, it was so moving and breathtaking, and every time I attend a wish, I just was at a wish this weekend, um,
Mhm.
I'm just reminded of the gift that we're giving people, that anytime you're going through something so difficult. My dad died of terminal cancer 5 years ago. I'm very familiar with this road that our wish
Mhm.
recipients are on. When you're in the midst of that, you just need a light. You just need some joy. You need something to take your mind off of it, to look forward to bring you some hope and encouragement, to gather people's family and friends together, into a day that they get to forget about their cancer for a little bit. Um, I just am constantly reminded this is why we're doing this. That people who are going through a really hard time deserve some joy.
I couldn't agree more. And, through this whole planning process with Oscar and Lily, I feel like every day that, it's really hard to plan in 9 weeks,
Hmm.
especially when, they didn't come into this process saying, okay, I want this, and this. I have X, Y, and Z lined up already. It's all on you to kind of figure out and find people. So we did a lot over texting because that was the fastest way I could get answers. It was the
Sure.
fastest way we could communicate. And I feel like almost not every time, but many times that we were texting, oh, we're at an appointment for Oscar. Oh, we're at this clinical trial for Oscar. And like it takes so much for them
It's so
to
overwhelming. Oh,
so overwhelming. And, there were a few times where I was like, Lily, just vent to me, let it out, because like I can feel your stress level. Let it out to me. I know nothing about what's going on. I'm not going to judge you for letting it out, but I can feel your stress level, and you're going to make yourself crazy if you don't just let it all out to me. Let's talk about it. We'll move on. And, one of the biggest things that I tried to do in this planning process was to not talk about Oscar's diagnosis because
mm,
our first conversation, I said, tell me everything I need to know and only tell me what I need to know, because I don't want to make this about the fact that you have a terminal cancer. I want to
Yeah.
make this about the fact that you're my groom. And
Oh,
and that was like amazing to try to do, because it was so hard to not talk about it, because we would like hop on a Zoom and I could see that he was suffering. Or
and what a gift to them too, because I know that everyone else in their life, every conversation is revolving around, are you having a good day? How are you feeling today? What's
right.
going on with your trial? What are the results of your scans? All that. And so
Mhm.
probably you just probably gave them the gift of just a little bit of a reprieve from that.
I tried to keep it as normal as possible for them. I have a history of working in healthcare. So I've done a
Mm,
lot of events in the healthcare field, and I've worked with past patients who have gone through the same illness that Oscar has. And I've seen their experience and I've seen how hard it can be for them. And I just wanted to give him a little bit of sense of normalcy through planning a wedding, because it's hard to plan a wedding and not have it be about your diagnosis. But I tried to do everything I could to keep it as separate as possible. Obviously, we were talking about things like, okay, what can we do day of that will help you the most? If
sure,
you're not
sure.
having the best day, what can we have on standby for you just in case? So I tried to do things like that, but that was like the week of the wedding.
Yeah.
It wasn't anything that we were talking about like every time we'd hop on a Zoom
Well, and we
or
always tell our planners too, just let your team know that at the end of the day, there might be a situation where we just have to pivot. If
yep.
someone wakes up and is having a really bad day, then the timeline is going to have to adjust.
Right, and that's kind of a little what happened for us. We adjusted. Oscar wasn't feeling 100% the day of his wedding, and he was really stressed out, and that put more pressure on his body, which put more pressure on kind of the whole day as a whole.
Hmm. Sure.
So we did everything we could to, bring his stress level down. The like groom's room that we made, we kind of turned it into like a Zen spa for him. I took his phone and I said, give me your Spotify. I put on a spa playlist. I like got him a
Oh,
cold towel. We turned all the lights off, and we just kind of like made it as zen and calm as possible to kind of alleviate a little bit of that, nervous stress level of not feeling great, but it also being your wedding day. So it was kind of
absolutely.
a combined stress from all angles for him. And I think that was really hard for him. But I will say the like most amazing moment from that day for me was when they did their first look and they got to see each other, because it was like the second Oscar got to see Lily was kind of like rubbing his back at first before he turned around to see her. And in the video, you can kind of like see a little bit of stress release from his body the second she touched his shoulders.
Mm.
And then when he saw her, he said some words that I won't repeat on the podcast, but he was so happy to see her, and she was so beautiful. And you could just like feel the tension that he had been holding on the inside just release now that he
Oh,
was like back with his girl. And he ended up feeling great the rest of the night. And it was
I
so
love that.
wonderful to be able to see that, like, okay, maybe he was nervous about the wedding. Maybe he wasn't having a great morning, but like now they're back together and they're going to have the best time. So that was a moment that really took the cake for me in a positive way of this wedding. It was so incredible to see them together and to see their love and just how they interacted together for the rest of the night. But I will say there was definitely a moment on the other end of the spectrum that took the cake from the day, because we started the morning a little bit late for hair and makeup, but two of the bridesmaids were there and we were getting started. And we were so the Science Center and Planetarium does a summer camp. So they have a lot of like classrooms where activities happen, and we had this huge classroom for hair and makeup for the girls. And we were doing the first bridesmaid's hair, and hairspray set off the smoke detector.
I
We started
love
our
that.
morning being evacuated from the building, and the fire department had to come. And
Oh my gosh.
we were told that all of the firefighters were very good looking. And so we were like, okay, if we have to have a wedding day with the fire department, we're going to make some fun of us. But they just wanted to get in and get out, and they didn't want to have any fun with us. So it was like
So
a 20-minute thing for them to come in. They had to check the whole building and do all these things. But then we were able to like bypass the room from the sensors for like a couple hours so we could finish hair and makeup and that it wouldn't go off again. So that was a crazy moment of the day.
so funny that you should say that, because the wish that I was at on this week, I was helping the planner. We were getting ready, and we had set out all these beautiful umbrellas outside. It was like this beautiful day, and then all of a sudden the skies just turned black.
Oh
And
no.
the wind started coming, and it was like, oh goodness, we got to get all those umbrellas in. So we're running outside, we're trying to bring everything in. This massive storm went through. I mean, torrential, sideways, crazy rain. This
Oh
was
my
about
goodness.
30 minutes before the ceremony, right? So no guests had arrived yet, but it was just coming down. And then all of a sudden, the planner's like, gosh, where is the food truck? So she was having a food truck as the caterer. Our groom was a police officer, and there's a food truck in Columbus that is police officer themed. And so
Oh,
all the food options have names on them, like 15 to life, whatever sandwich or whatnot. And
so
so
funny.
all of a sudden she's like, gosh, the food truck was supposed to be here by now. And she's trying to call them and trying to text them, but the storm was so bad that it had backed up everything on the freeway, and they were stuck in terrible traffic. But we didn't know that. And so we're all just on our phones trying to figure out, okay, worst case scenario, if they don't show up, what are we going to do for catering?
Oh my goodness.
But then they showed up, thankfully. So they were 35 minutes late, which was a little bit of anxiety. But
So much
again, it's like,
anxiety.
I think that every single wedding, whether it's a wish or just like a normal wedding, must have some
Mhm.
sort of catastrophe moment
Oh,
associated with
yeah, there's
it.
always something, whether the couple knows about it or not, and they
Yeah,
usually don't know about it,
yeah,
which
ours
is, like,
didn't.
wonderful for us. We ended up
Exactly.
telling Lily about the fire department later because she was so stressed out that we were trying to, like, give her a good laugh and, like, get a little stress alleviated from her. So we were like, "Well, you missed this moment this morning," because she hadn't gotten there yet. So it was so funny, her face and her reaction about um like how the fire department came and we were standing outside for 20 minutes.
I love
But
it.
it's such a special day to see all the vendors come together for a couple. And our DJ was amazing. He like made such an effort to make sure the day was everything that they wanted and
I
however
love
they
that.
wanted. We had some really cool traditions. Lily wanted to do a ribbon bouquet tradition instead of tossing the bouquet, where you put like a ring around your bouquet that has like a ton of ribbons attached to it, and all the eligible women or women that want to find love grab a ribbon, and then she's blindfolded and cuts all the ribbons, and whoever's standing last is the one that gets the
Oh,
luck. So that was really special to do. And the DJ was just like so wonderful explaining how to do it and bringing everyone together. And, it's sometimes hard with small weddings because if a couple people step outside for air or, just need to like make a phone call or whatever it is, you lose like a quarter of your guests.
right.
So if people need to leave early or anything like that, it's hard because your guests are gone. So that was a bit of a challenge. We also, Oscar is Colombian, so we also had like a Colombian shoe tradition instead of like the garter, where all the eligible guys put a shoe under Lily's dress, and then Lily picks a shoe, and whoever the shoe belongs to gets
Oh,
the
fun.
good luck and fortune. So we were able to do that instead of a garter, which was very, very fun. And then yeah, we just had such a great night. They had a photo booth. We had this cotton candy. Lily loves crystals. So she made these little crystals for everyone to take home at the end of the night, which was so
Mm.
special. every crystal was individually picked for each guest. So we made these
Wow.
little tags that went on the boxes, and then they got a little description underneath their crystal of like what the crystal meant. So she picked each one specifically for each guest
How
and to like help
special.
them in their life. So that was so special. And I'm trying to think of anything else that was like crazy amazing. Our cake
The
was
wish that I was
awesome.
at had a little charcuterie cart, like a little mobile
So
charcuterie
cute.
cart. It was the cutest thing I've ever seen. I loved it.
I
It was so
love
cute.
that.
And that was
That
like the
sounds so fun.
appetizers. Yeah, it was really fun.
That's awesome. It was cool because where we did cocktails was right outside the planetarium inside the science center, and there was this huge globe in the middle of the room, so you could kind of see what's going on in all areas of the world. It was like a digital globe. So you could like check the weather for
Oh,
Africa or like
neat.
do all these really cool things, and guests had access to kind of explore the whole science center throughout the event. So we had a lot of kids, so it was nice for the kids to kind of have things to do where they didn't just have to like sit and behave. So they
That's
could
a
go run
really
around and
neat
play.
perk.
Yeah, it
That's
was
a neat perk.
awesome.
I
Yeah,
love
it was
that.
really, really cool. Well, Lacey, is there anything else that, takes the cake for you in a positive or a crazy way that you want to share?
Honestly, just and I get amazing emails, from people after the fact, and it fills my heart with joy to know that we're providing lasting memories for people. People often speak about the photography and the videography and those memories that are going to live on long after um, our wish recipient has passed, and just watching people dance with their kiddos, because they know that they're not going to be probably at their kid's wedding someday, or just watching them gather with their friends and their family. I, it it fills me with so much joy to know that we get to do this for people every day.
I couldn't agree more. It's the most special feeling. And to all the planners out there, I highly recommend reaching out to Wish Upon a Wedding. Let them know you're interested should a wish come up in your area, because this was one of the most incredible experiences that I got to have as a planner. And I can't imagine not doing it again, to be honest, because
Oh,
it's the most amazing feeling to be able to give back and to support a couple who is having a really challenging time in life.
yeah, and vendors can sign up through our website to be a potential wish granter, and then each time we approve a wish in a particular city, we always go to our database and see, okay, who has signed up to that says I want to be involved, and so then we can reach out to those people directly that way as well.
Oh, that's perfect. So, check out our Instagram. On our Instagram and on Facebook, we have a reel from Oscar and Lily's amazing wedding that tagged all of our vendors who were part of this incredibly special day, and we couldn't have done it without all of you. So, just special shout out to all the vendors who
Yes.
participated in Oscar and Lily's wedding. Lacey, where can our listeners follow along with Wish Upon a Wedding?
Yeah, you can check out our website, wishuponawedding.org, and you can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Wish Upon a Wedding. We also have a YouTube page. Definitely get the box of Kleenex out if you're going to visit the YouTube page, and you can watch videos from all of our past wishes that will really, really touch you.
Well, thank you so much, Lacey. It's been such a pleasure to be able to talk to you about this incredible organization that provides such incredible things for those that are fighting a terminal illness. You can find me on Instagram or on our website. Subscribe, like, and comment on all of our social media, or visit our website, stunningandbrilliantevents.com. And we will see you all next week. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Bye bye. Thanks.